Hello, my name's DZ-BT-06, or Caffeine of Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite decks that just got support out of Divine Set 6, Generation Dragenesis. And Generation is pretty fitting for the name because I'm going to be talking about Alter Ego Messiah, who, along with getting some new rear guards, got a new stride. Same as Chronojet. But let's not dwell on that too long and just get into the list. So, the ride line is going to be the intended ride line as the rules dictate. Neon Messiah has the same skill as every standard starter that when wrote upon going second, you draw a card. And Asleep Messiah has the same skill as every single one of the Crest Getters for the Stride deck sets, where when it rides upon the intended grade 0, you draw a card and then you get the Alter Ego Messiah crest. And what does that crest do? Well, all the crests have these first 3 effects, where you can perform Stride, but you're locked into the Vanguard's name. The original power of the grade 3s with that name becomes 13,000 because it uses the original G arrow ones. And during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with the intended name, your front row gets 5k for every single face-up card in your G zone. Of course, the last effect is the one that's going to be unique for each crest. The Alter Ego Messiah crest has the skill that at the end of your turn, you unlock all of your opponent's locked cards and bind them. Which does kind of take away some of what made lock interesting. It was a control element, it locked your opponent's circles so they couldn't use it. But it kind of balances that out by turning it into a removal. So they still have the circles, but they're losing the units. A little bit of a quick pro quo, a little bit of a trade. For the grade 2, it's Awakening Messiah, who, when you place a grade 4 Messiah on your Vanguard circle, and it's in Soul, you can call it, and then if you do, you Soul Charge 1. And when it's unlocked during your turn, you choose a unit in the same column, and it gets 10k. Hey. And the reason it calls itself from Skull is to synergize with the Alter Ego Messiah, who, when it's strode over for a counterblast and locking one of your rear guards, you get to lock the opponent's rear guard, and the Vanguard gets 5k. Along with that, Alter Ego Messiah has a Generation Break 2 skill that whenever a locked card is unlocked, for a single Soul Blast, you draw a card. This triggers every time a card is unlocked, which means at the end of your turn, you unlock your opponent's board, you unlock your full board. You're drawing a minimum of 3 to 4 cards at the start, assuming you have all your regular units. But let's go ahead and get into the main deck now for the grade 3s. I'm on a single main deck copy of Alter Ego Messiah. Just in case you need to go into Excelix, it comes up every once in a while in a blue moon. It gets kind of nice to have. Along with that, I'm on 4 copies of Macrocosmic Dragon Marstosh, who, when it's put on rear guard, if you have a grade 4 Vanguard or you reveal grade 4 in hand, it has 2 skills. The guard skill just gives a 15k guard. That'll never come up for you. But the rear guard skill to Soul Charge 1 give it 10k, that does rarely come up because it's a way to build up soul again. Because as I said, you're going to be soul blasting a lot for that draw skill. On that, when it's discarded from hand when riding into a grade 3 or for paying Stride, you get to draw a card. Nice, simple, little cycling, and even more draw in the deck. You're going to see that that's a bit of a pattern. On that, the Regardless piece I'm choosing for the deck is Bracing Angel Ladder. It's for every bit of battle. It's more card draw. It gives you another soul, and the extra protection for your rear guards is actually kind of nice into some matchups. Anything that removes your rear guards, because you are kind of combo heavy, it's very important. And then lastly for grade 3s, I'm on a single copy of Prelude of Genesis, which for a counterblast, if you have an Alter Ego Messiah crest, you get to call a Messiah from drop and lock one of your opponent's rear guards. And along with that, when it's discarded for Stride, you choose a Vanguard or Heart card. Until the end of the turn, you reduce the cost of the next counterblast for that skill by 1. So it makes your Alter Ego Messiah's Stride skill to lock a unit free, or it makes any of your Stride's abilities free. Yeah. Now it is kind of a preference to be on only one because they're kind of expensive. I don't want to spend the money. If you were to swap in the second one, because you probably only need 2, I'd put it over the Alter Ego Messiah and cut Excelix entirely. But now for the grade 2 lineup. I'm on 4 copies of Arrestor Messiah, who on Generation Break 1, when it attacks, as long as you have a Vanguard Messiah, which you always will, it gets 5k, and at the end of the battle, it locks itself. It's a nice beater. It gets pretty big pretty fast, especially with the plus 5k to the front. Next up, I'm on 4 copies of the new Grade 2 Rearguard, Lady Battler the Black Dwarf, who for the Generation Break 1, when she attacks, if you have Grade 3 Messiah, you'd get to give another Rearguard 5k, and then she locks herself. And in the drop zone at Generation Break 3, when you stride a Link Joker stride, you can counterblast 1 to call her. So she's just another unit that locks herself, so she's another attack, as you'll see when we get to the strides. She's another beater. She makes your other columns bigger. And she's recursive, so if you lose her, if she just goes to drop, you can always bring her back. And lastly, I'm on 4 copies of Bullet of Creation Panspermia. The second skill here doesn't matter because it's a Persona Ride skill. The only thing that matters is when it's discarded to ride or put on guard for a Counter Blast or Energy Blast 3, you draw a card. It is more card draw. This deck lives and thrives on how many cards you are able to draw. For the Grade 1s, I'm on 4 copies of Sacrifice Messiah, who at the end of the battle it boosts. If you have a Messiah Vanguard, by locking it, you give your Vanguard 5k, and if you don't have a face-up card in your damage zone, it counters 1. That is not once per turn, that is just limited to how much face-up damage you have. So you are able to play the full game, your full Grade 3 stride turns on a single damage. You can play as heavily defensive as you want to with this deck. On that, I'm on 4 copies of Go Ahead Mikami, who, when it's placed, you can soul charge 1, and if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard, you can put into soul to do nothing, but it goes to soul, so it's a guaranteed soul charge. It's essentially a soul charge 2 where one of them is guaranteed to not be a trigger. And it also, because it's a Grade 1 that you don't mind losing, it's really nice early rush going second. I'm also on 3 copies of Silver Star Dragon Seyfried, who, when he's placed, if your Vanguard is less than or equal to your opponent's, you energy charge 1 and take its 2k, and on rear or drop, when you discard a card during your turn, you can energy blast 3 and remove it from the game to choose one of the cards you discard and add back to hand. So this lets you recycle the cards you discard stride. It lets you recycle your Prelude of Genesis, your Marstoges. Hell, if you ever need to actually discard for stride because you're a bad place, the Bracing Angel Ladder can be discarded, added back, and then used, which is pretty nice. And then lastly for PGs, I'm on 3 copies of Flowers and Vacuum Cosmo Wreath and the 1 Sanctitude. And the reason I'm on this is because stride is meta again in Standard. And lastly, for my trigger lineup, this is a little weird, and the reason is pretty simple. I don't have Soul Front money, which is why I'm on 8 crits. All the vanilla crits. This is definitely one of the decks that actually does benefit from having soul crits, but they're not mandatory. 3 20k guard fronts, because the guard value is what I want if I don't have access to the soul charge. I'm on regular heals, and then I am on the intended Elder Breath, the Nation over trigger, which, if you're unfamiliar with Elder Breath, when it's Drove's check, it doubles the power and crit of all front row units. And the reason I'm on Elder Breath instead of like Eidos Follow or Walnut is because of the power Elder Breath brings. Merit Zombie doesn't really do anything because you're already wiping a lot of your opponent's board with how the crest unlocks your opponent's board. Nyx Lazalia, it is an extra heal, but you typically have the front rearguard circles where you would want to call a new rearguard occupied already and standing when your Vanguard attacks, so that doesn't really come up. Walnut, the ability to give a standing rearguard the ability to restand is nice, except for the part where every single one of your main attackers, your Lady Battle of the Black Dwarf and your Arrestor Messiah mandatory lock themselves. You do these Generation Break 1 skills are not a choice. They just happen and they lock themselves. You don't get a choice in that. Eidos Faro can be good for recycling, but you're drawing so much, so you'll probably see other pieces that replace it. And Saferd also takes care of the recycling while being an energy sink for you. So having the 4th recycle isn't really that important in the deck. That's why I'm still on Out of Breath. But now let's get into the interesting part of my list, my G-Zone. And the first thing I'm going to point out is I'm on 8 cards in my G-Zone total. And the reason for that is the G-Zone is a public zone to a degree. Your opponent doesn't know what you have in it, but they know you have the number that's face down. They're allowed to check that. So, as a little bit of mind games for right now, and because it will never matter that you don't have a number of the strides in here anyways, if you end up needing to stride that many times in a game, something's gone very wrong. It's gonna make my opponent think, oh, they're kind of broke. They don't have the new one. But let's go through the strides. I'm on 4 copies of Genesis Dragon Amnesty Messiah, who on attack for a single counterblast and turning a card from face down G-Zone face up, unlocks any number of your rear guards, any number of cards technically, but you're typically only going to do it to your rear guards, and gives one of your units 5k for every card unlocked by this. So when you're going to unlock all your attackers and the Asleep Messiah, or what's his name again? The Awaking Messiah that you locked to lock one of your opponent's rear guards, that's going to be 2 extra attacks, and one of them is getting an extra 20k, plus you have your countercharge alive again, so if you're only at 1 damage that's face down, no, it's not. It's face back up. I'm also on a single copy of the weirdo that's in here, Genesis Dragon Excelix Messiah. As I said, he comes up rarely. That's why I have the Alter Ego Messiah in here, because this one requires that you discard specifically a Messiah grade 3. And on Generation Break 2, when it attacks, you can counterblast 1, choose any number of any player's locked cards, unlock them. If you unlock a card, you can restand any number of rear guards up to the number of cards unlocked. And your front row gains 10k, and he gains an extra crit. It pretty rarely comes up. Typically, if you have to go into him, it is kind of your last ditch effort because you want the extra pressure from the extra crit. But when it happens, it does. Sometimes you also have the Marstoge, so you're going to swing 1, you're going to swing Marstoge, swing Excelix, and restand Marstoge while unlocking the 2 in the back row. And then lastly, we have the brand new stride. I'm on 3 copies of Genesis Dragon Trans Else Messiah, who just needs to go through regular stride. You don't need to discard the same name. And at Generation Break 3, so this is going to be the second one you go into, for a single counterblast on attack, you unlock all of your locked cards. You choose the same number of your opponent's rear guards as there are face-up cards in your G-Zone and lock them. And you choose the same number of your rear guards as the face-up Trans-Else Messiahs in your G-Zone and give them 5k. So it's kind of just an improved version of Amnesty Messiah. It lacks giving 1 unit an excessive amount of power, but it spreads that power out a little more, and it locks your opponent's board, so you're at the end of the turn, you're getting rid of more of their pieces. But that is the end of the list. And y'all, if you liked the video, do all the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see y'all next time. Ciao.